Welcome to the Solution Nation podcast. My name is Sean Snowday, and I'm the president of Solution Nation. Solution Nation is dedicated to providing a platform for investors to learn about Israel's most dynamic public and private companies. We interview lead venture capitalists, Wall Street analysts, investment bankers, and managers of incubators and accelerators. Today's guest is Erez Lahav with INcapital Ventures. Now, INcapital Ventures' reputation as bridge builders to the North America market provides INcapital access to exclusive and attractive opportunities in Israel. INcapital invests in early growth stage technology companies and is industry agnostic. Erez Lahav segments the enterprise software industry into niches such as machine learning, Internet of Things, marketing technology, and big data. He provides key insights into determining the potential revenue that may be derived from distributors. In this episode, Erez introduces us to three fascinating portfolio companies, Pente Networks, Anima, and Cyrebro. He is a principal at INcapital Ventures, which has offices in Toronto, Tel Aviv, and New York. Additionally, he has over 15 years of experience in technology and entrepreneurship, and he has also founded and led 2 startups from bootstrap to acquisition. Please remember that all content provided on the Solution Nation podcast and website is for educational purposes only. Nothing shall be construed as investment advice. Investment decisions shall not be made based on information, written, verbal, or otherwise, posted or spoken on Solution Nation. Conduct your own research or consult with your own investment advisors before making investment decisions. So here's my good friend, the host of the show, and the CEO of Solution Nation, David Wanatik.
Okay, welcome everyone to Solution Nation. I'm David Wanatik. We have a very interesting guest that's going to speak to us today. His name is Erez Lahav. Erez Lahav joined INcapital Ventures in 2021. He's based in the Israel office. Erez spent his military service in different technological roles and as an officer in an elite IDF tech intelligence unit, focusing on new technology and innovations. He later joined Amdocs as a software solution architect in Dallas, Texas, and was part of the software architecture team working with Amdocs' top-tier telecom clients. Mr. Lahav has over 15 years of experience in technology and entrepreneurship. Erez founded and led 2 startups from bootstrap to acquisition. So Erez, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you for having me.
So maybe you can tell us a little bit more about INcapital Ventures, the mission it has, the kinds of technology it searches for, stage of development it funds, average check size, that kind of thing.
Sure. So INcapital Ventures, we're a global VC. We have offices in Toronto, New York, and Tel Aviv. Our focus is Israeli companies, Israeli startups that targeting the US market mainly. So we invest in Series A and B. Usually the check size, it depends if we lead the round or if we join anywhere between $2 to $5 million, the check size. And our focus is SaaS companies, B2B software. And as far as the sector and the industry, we're agnostic. So we invest in fintech, IoT, marketing tech, machine learning operations, dev tools, anything that is software B2B, and it's interesting.
Okay, great. So there's a Canadian angle to this. Is there anything different about having a Canadian office? Do you make an effort to commercialize your portfolio companies' technologies in Canada, for example?
Yeah, sure. So the Canadian market is very interesting, and I think even it's a bit under the radar as far as the ecosystem. There are very interesting companies in Canada. One of the things that I can tell about the Canadian market is that we have great access to, for our portfolio companies, for example, to great resources at the same time zone of the United States, and very talented, and for a better budget as far as the hiring. Now that in 2022 it's a bit different by 2021. It was very crucial to get good talent in reasonable prices. So the Canadian market offers very good opportunities as far as companies and also resources.
Okay. Is there any interest that you have in some cases to try to take your companies public on the Canadian exchanges like the Vancouver Exchange?
This is something that for our company is not, it might be relevant in the future, but not yet because they're still early in the game. So A and B rounds usually takes time, but definitely as we go, it might be relevant.
Okay. All right. So INcapital Ventures invests in lots of different industries. You're pretty agnostic. I guess generally we could say you're a SaaS investors, but you invest in marketing tech, IoT, machine learning, big data, and so forth. Is there any common theme you look for, or any particular focus you look for? Is it more the management team or addressable markets or unique technologies you see?
Sure. So there are several parameters when you vet a company, startup company in general. I can say that one of the things that differentiate, say in INcapital Ventures, we're very focused on product market fit. And can elaborate more about product market fit because it's something that can be interpreted in a different way. So we are very focused on companies that already found their business model. It's a working business model. Now they need the money to scale. So our mission is to take the company from that step to the growth stages. So we're very, very focused on product market fit, companies that already have multiple customers showing a steady growth over a few quarters at least. They need our money and our expertise to scale this. And besides this, more factors that are important for us, as you mentioned, the team. Make sure the team is experienced. The team is very relevant for the startup, for what they do. We want to make sure they're solving a real problem, something that we know it's not a niche market, and this is something very important for us when it comes to investment. Another thing that is special for us is to see that the companies, the startup, one of their in their go-to-market, they are not only focused on direct method, but also go through channels, which we, from our experience with our portfolio companies in general, channels and partnerships, this is the key for quick growth and sustainable growth.
Okay. In determining if a technology is scalable, you like to see they already have some traction. Do you like to see companies that have penetrated different industries to indicate that their big data or machine learning or marketing tech is appealing to several different industries rather than just penetrating one industry?
Yeah, that's a great question because it's very important for us to see that their product or platform, as you said, can fit to different industries, different sectors, and they are not specific vertical oriented. We see sometimes great companies that they're focused, they're only, and we check that, we validate the technology, we see everything is good, the team is great, but they're focused on very specific vertical. And this is a problem for us because we want to, as a venture capital, we want to decrease the risk, and we need to make sure that if something happens with one vertical, one industry, our investment is not affected, and that's the key for the investment as well.
Okay. Do you typically wait until a company has sold their products to clients for 2 years to determine if the customer has renewed their subscriptions to make sure it's just not a one-hit wonder, that that the product sale wasn't just a function of good salesmanship, but the people at the client companies really use it and they want to renew their subscriptions?
Yes, of course. So as part of our due diligence, we get into the details of the sales of the company. So in order to determine product market fit, we need to make sure that the revenue is stable, not necessarily 2 years. Let's say, for example, if the contract on a monthly basis. So we want to make sure that the customers using the platform, using the solution, there's good engagement, and they keep, as you said, keep renewing, and they need it. This is a very good indicator for the product market fit. And so, yes, we want to see that it's not like one-off project, and it's something that is going to grow.
You mentioned that you're also pleased when a portfolio company engages with distributors. That's good when that happens. I'll just mention I made a big mistake in one investment. Invested in a company, and they were getting a lot of distributors. There were a lot of press releases. They got distributors, maybe 10 or 15 distributors all over the world. A lot of press releases about it. But the distributors really didn't do anything. It wasn't fraud. There really were agreements in place with the distributors, but nothing came out. Are there any questions you ask or anything else you want to see in addition to contracts with distributors so other people won't make the mistake I did?
Yeah, so working with channels, we call it distributors or channels partnerships, is something that has different factors or things to consider. And the type, one of the things we check is the type of the contract that they have. Because you can be on, like you said, on 20 or 30 or whatever marketplaces of different channels, but they don't do anything active to get you promoted, to take you to their customers. So just being on their, on their list is not going to give you any traction probably. So first thing is to understand what type of contract, what type of engagement they have with their partners, how much their solution is valuable for the partner for this specific channel. And the second thing, which is very important as well, is to make sure that you have the people in your company that will work with the channels. Because you need to remember, these channels, your platform as a founder, this is not their core business. So they're not going to promote it for you. You need to make sure that you have the right, if it's a customer success or any business position in your company, to make sure to maximize the potential working with these partners, to push them working, to push them take it to their customers, and to be active.
Mm-hmm. So the small companies you invest in, do usually they have their own dedicated sales force plus distributors, or just like a business development person that's working with the distributors?
So it's usually they have their own sales force plus the channels, and it really depends as well on the go-to-market. We have one company that is more like product-led growth oriented, so it's more of marketing efforts and performance marketing, plus channels. And there are some companies that have a few people on their sales force, like SDRs, and they do the business development. And on top of that, the channels, so varies between the companies, but usually both they have.
Mm-hmm. Do you see that distributors make any capital commitments or make any marketing dollar commitments to when they represent a new product, or allocate a certain number of salespeople to the portfolio company, or have guaranteed minimums or that kind of thing in their contracts?
So usually what we see with our portfolio company is that they have several type of channels, and in at least 3 companies have some channels that are very committed to the process. So they invested in a company in the space of the private networks and 5G. And one of their partners, they really hired Salesforce, like a team, to take their platform, take their product, and distribute it to their customers. As well, we see another company at one of their channel, they make a purchase order of a very high commitment as far as capital for future services and future usage of the platform. So, yeah, in some channels, and again, it all comes down to how valuable and how important is our solution, our portfolio company solution for the channel. So they may commit, yeah.
Okay. And typically, do the distributors just make the sale, or do they make the sale and do the integration and get the product actually working at the client company?
Yeah. So in most of our companies, in most of the portfolio companies, and depends on what type of solution, but they do the sale and then they help with the integration. And then we have the support, which the tier 1 and tier 2, which is the basic support, is being done by the integrator or the channel. And if it's a tier 3 and more support on the code and the level of the code, so it goes to the company itself, to our portfolio company. For example, we have in company in the cybersecurity industry, so some of their channels, they do everything all the way to integration, implementation, training, everything. Some of them just open the door for you and you do the rest. So we see both things, but it depends on the type of the solution.
Okay. And the way that the revenues are accounted for most of your companies, do your companies account for revenue as all the revenue that the distributor generates, or just the part of the revenue that the portfolio company gets?
Yeah, so the total GMV, like the revenue that they generate, is a good indication for the volume, for the demand of their customers, but we count only for what the portfolio company or the company get from the deal. This is what important for us. At the end of the day, the software company, you want to see the margins. So we count only for what they get out of the deal.
Okay. All right, great. We don't have time to talk about all the segments you invest in, but we can talk about a few of them. Maybe marketing tech. What kind of deals are you investing in? What do you like in marketing technology?
So marketing technology specifically is something that we invest. We look at in marketing. It's a little bit tricky, I have to say, because it's usually the technology is not too deep usually, and so you can you see some new companies with different technology, different approaches very often. But we like to see companies that I would say one of the important thing is to make sure that the solution is sticky. So if the company has any issue, need to cut some budgets, need to make changes, you don't want to be the first solution to be cut out of your customer's budget. As well, we want to make sure that the return on investment for the customer is very clear. Because you're selling a marketing solution, you want to make sure that ROI is clear, that you're helping the customer to make more money using platform, the solution. As you said, we invest in different industries. So, for example, with IoT, we see more stickiness. We see also very good potential customers and solutions. So but we see all over. We are sector agnostic, as you mentioned.
And so for marketing technology, do you typically invest in B2B marketing companies or B2C marketing
B2B.
companies?
So we always invest in B2B. We don't do B2C. B2B is our expertise and knowledge, and we know how to do. So B2B is our focus. Yeah.
Okay. Maybe going to machine learning. I'm not sure I understand the difference between machine learning and artificial intelligence. Can you help me with that?
Yeah. So I have to say that today you hear David, find about every pitch, every startup you see. I know that there is it became like a buzzword. Everyone has AI and ML. So those terms are very similar, I would say. There are of course some differences, but in general we are talking about the same area as far as the investment, and the same concept of having companies providing solutions that based on a lot of data that they need to train for a specific algorithm or a specific task. But in general, companies working with ML and AI, it goes together. They need to probably integrate both technologies or algorithm in their solution.
Okay. All right. Maybe talking about Internet of Things. Maybe you can sort of tell us what's going on with that. To me, it seems like the rollout is slower than a lot of people anticipated. Am I seeing that wrong, or maybe just talk to us about that?
Yeah. So Internet of Things. I would say I need to differentiate between two aspects of that. So first is the regular, I would say, more residential usage of Internet of Things that you see, like a smart home or a smart sensors and things that more being seen on the consumer side. And on that, I think that area, I agree with you. I see it's not going as fast as we expected, and it's been here for several years already. And on the other hand, everything that is related to the more industry, business side and the use cases, we do see very good companies. We see very good solutions. One of our portfolio companies, they're doing very good, and they are in the space of the IoT for smart lines and infrastructure. So we do see growth and how this industry and companies in this area are getting more and more traction. And the use cases are more clear now in the market.
Okay. For IoT to really permeate the landscape, is it dependent on 5G, the rollout of 5G technologies?
Not necessarily. The 5G just to it enhances everything as far as security and bandwidth, latency, things that are more important for the critical mission tasks. Let's say for the autonomous car, for example, or specific industries. But IoT is not necessarily related to 5G, so it works with 4G, works with any type of communication. As I said, there's some critical mission use cases that 5G need to address. So,
okay. So you mentioned one example of IoT are autonomous cars. That can be IoT.
Yes. Let's say, for example, if you there's some companies of the teleoperation for autonomous vehicles, autonomous cars. So there is it's critical. The real-time thing here is very critical. if you need to operate a car from remote, you need to make sure the communication is with almost zero latency. Every decision, every action you take must be really take effect immediately. So the 5G here comes into play.
Okay. What are some other examples of existing IoT technologies?
We see for IoT, so like I said, one example is everything related with smart infrastructure. You see most of them, at least from the companies I see, most of them related with infrastructure. Another example is on the Industry 4. So Industry 4, it's a theme by itself that the industry we can talk about more. But we see some use cases of manufacturer trying to improve the product line. If they need, for example, to manufacture something in a higher accuracy, precision. So we see the IoT, how it works. For example, they put some cameras on top of the production line, and based on with computer vision and IoT, they are able to improve real time the way they manufacture. So it's another use case. I mostly see Industry 4 and smart infrastructure.
Okay. So in IoT, do you typically like software IoT companies or hardware IoT plays?
So it's a mix, but it always involves with software. There's some companies that they use just general sensors or some generic hardware, and the majority of the solution is the software around it. And some companies, the hardware takes more bigger role in the solution. We in INcapital Ventures, as we most focus on software, so we make sure when we invest, the software is the main part of the solution, not the hardware.
Okay. You made an interesting point about IoT. Some segments of it can exist just at a factory. So it's only dependent on that one company funding the IoT rollout. So not all aspects of IoT are dependent on massive amounts of money spent all over the whole United States, for example. There can be company factory specific deployments of IoT.
Right.
Okay. All right. That's interesting. Okay. Do you want to tell us anything interesting about big data?
Yeah. So see some companies we're looking at companies in the space of big data, and this is not a new category or a new industry for investment. Some companies that we see, they provide solutions for using big data for the medical and health industry. Just for example, to help improve treatment in chronic disease, for example. So they use massive amount of data, including as well machine learning and AI as well, to the algorithm to indicate or try to predict what's going to be the next step. But they're using big data to create models and improve treatment of chronic disease, as I said. We didn't invest, haven't invested yet. We invested in big data, but not that area, but more of related to MLOps and other industries or other type of knowledge and solutions. But I see some very good companies using big data for interesting solutions.
Okay. All right, maybe you can talk to us about three of your portfolio companies. I know you must like them all, but maybe we can limit it to just three of them.
Yeah, like you said, every company is like a child. You love them all, and they have different interesting angles and aspects of doing business. So first company is I'll talk about is Pente Networks, which is one of our recent investments. So Pente, what they do is they provide a solution and technology for enterprises to create private networks using 4G or 5G. And this is something that is it's very growing now as well because of the new regulations of the CBRS spectrum in the United States. So more enterprises, more industries looking now to have their own private cellular network. So they provide the network, they provide the core of the mobile network, the management, everything that they need. It's a great company, and we predict a very good future for them. So that's they're active with many partners. They are very good at working with partners. They have great traction, and this is the first company.
So, okay, so just to make sure everybody knows, Pente is spelled Pente, Pente Networks.
Correct.
So you said they deploy dedicated cellular systems?
Yes, correct.
So a company...
Let's say for example, sorry, go ahead.
You can go ahead, but just so a company might want to deploy their own cellular system. Is that mostly for security reasons, or?
Yeah, so it's first for either for security reasons, but also for latency and bandwidth. And so if they need, say for example, you're in a factory, and instead of implementing a lot of Wi-Fi like devices, so they can use private networks, and they get very fast, reliable, and secure network within if it's a factory, or if it's let's say a rural area that big carriers don't cover and don't have signal, so they can provide a local network in this area and give a coverage which is pretty much quick and affordable versus other solutions.
Okay, so would an employee that walks into a factory in the morning that has a Pente network, would they have to change any settings on their phones, or would it be done automatically?
So the main idea is that they have, nowadays we have also eSIM cards, so they not necessarily have to replace SIM card or change configuration. And the main usage for now is not necessarily the end user, like it might be in some cases they use, for example, they implemented their solution in Howard University in the States. So they're using it this way, but it can be also for some machines that are working and need to have a connection. Mainly if they need the configuration, it's something very easy on the go. So nothing significant to change on the end user side.
Okay, great, thank you. So maybe we can talk about it, two more companies?
Sure. So next company I'll talk about is Anima. So Anima, they do something very interesting, and they created a solution, a platform which helps designers and developers basically be on the same page and speak the same language. And how they do it, they convert their solution. You can convert any image that you create, like design any, if you design a product, specific product, and you create an image or create some sketch in Figma or Adobe or anything. So you can convert this image or demo into a real code without knowing the code. So it's very interesting because imagine you as in a team of, you have designers, you have developers, product team, then the designers can take what they have in mind or what they got in their requirement, and just convert it into a code, and then the developers pick up the code and keep working on it and convert it back to the demo, to the image. So it's something very unique. There are some companies doing it as well, but they're definitely, their technology is leading, and they're most advanced in this race of creating the perfect solution for that.
So they take an image and turn it into software code?
Exactly.
Okay.
You're kind of
All right.
reverse engineering.
Okay. All right. Very interesting.
Yes, exactly. So this is Anima. They're doing very good. They're growing very fast. They have great traction. Their go-to-market is what we call the product-led growth. So they market it to users. Once they have enough users from organization, specific organization, they approach one of the managers, and they create licenses for more people in the organization. So very interesting company. And third company I'll talk about is Cyrebro. So Cyrebro is a cyber security company. They provide what we call a SOC as a service. So SOC is a security operations center for organizations. So needless to say, the demand for cybersecurity solution just keep growing exponentially. So they provide small and medium businesses, more attention to the medium businesses, but they provide them a product basically to catch, identify, monitor all the alerts of the security alerts, and they take the heavy lifting from the CISO, from the chief security officer, and they kind of filter only what's important for the organization to keep track and see if it's a real threat or just a false alarm. This company, we invested in the beginning of 2021, and they grew very fast, and they're now going towards their growth round. So we're very proud of this company and the progress they made.
So this company, they make software that helps manage a security operations center? Is that
correct?
Okay. So I would imagine that it could actually be of benefit to a medium-sized company that they don't have their own security operations center, because they may learn about more attacks that other companies are dealing with and put best practices in place to contend with those other attacks.
That's correct, and this is one of their algorithm, or the way they do it is that they learn from, like you said, from the entire system, from the entire customers, what works, what is a real alarm, and they implement it with the other customer. So by the way, it's again where the AI comes into play.
So there are other independent companies that own and operate these security operation centers, and Cyrebro sells their software to those operators of the SOCs. Yes, that is correct. Okay. Well, that was great. Very interesting discussion, Erez. Thank you very much for spending all this time with us and This was a difficult interview. I was asking questions from many different industry segments, and usually we'd have about 7 analysts, and each analyst would take questions on their area of expertise. But Erez was able to do everything for us. So, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, David, for having me. Appreciate it.
It was a pleasure. Okay.